Remember Me, it's a funny thing. If you're in a great big blockbusting fantasy franchise, you sort of have to do odd, slightly indie-spirited stuff to demonstrate that there is more to you than the blockbuster fantasy franchise. Because remember Daniel Radcliffe made that strange little movie, Antipodean movie about boys wearing peculiar swimming shorts. Remember that?
I do. I interviewed him.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a great movie, but it was him sort of demonstrating he had a brother. And then, of course, he went onto the stage and he did Equus, which apparently was very good, which I didn't see. Did you see him on stage in Equus?
I didn't, but I enjoyed that. I mean, that Aussie movie that he did, I thought was quite engaging.
Yeah, and it was like, let's see if I can kind of broaden the palette. Okay, so here, in the case, there's R. Pats, as I think.
The December Boys.
The December Boys, that was the name. Thank you, well done. I couldn't remember that at all. So the story is that R. Pats is a dissolute. He's dissolute because the very first time you see him, he falls in through a New York window, smoking and drinking at the same time. So it's almost as if he said, listen, because he's actually British, isn't he? He said, I'm going to throw off the Edward stuff. I'm going to be smoking and drinking and falling in through a window. And he is dissolute because he is carrying around great pain, partly because his brother has died at some previous unspecified event which comes out during the plot, partly because his father, who is played by Pierce Brosnan, is one of those rich businessmen who doesn't give him the love and attention that he needs. He keeps getting into fights. He keeps getting arrested. He, through a frankly convoluted plot twist, is encouraged by his friend to date the daughter of the officer who most recently arrested him, and she's kooky and quirky. Here's a clip.
What desserts do you have?
Mango ice cream with nuts and raisins.
Great. I'll have that and a glass of skim milk, and then the lamb vindaloo. Thanks.
Oh, can I have a chicken tikka masala and a kingfisher, please?
I have my dessert first.
Oh, is that a political statement or a medical condition, perhaps?
I just don't see the point in waiting.
And actually, the thing is that she says, "Oh, I have to have the dessert now because if I don't, something might happen to me. Then I'd never have the dessert." Which is clearly ripped off that bit in When Harry Met Sally, in which he says, "I have a dark side. I always read the last page of a book first in case I die before I get to the end of it." That, my friend, is a dark side, and there is nothing in this to come anywhere close to the writing When Harry Met Sally. So, briefly, it's not terrible. Robert Pattinson is perfectly fine. It's not much good. There are moments of melancholia in it which are quite interesting. Funnily enough, the most remarkable thing is that Pierce Brosnan, I thought, was really outstanding as the slimy, horrible father who neglects his children and just makes money and yet somehow harbours something deep within him. Actually, it's funny. The whole Bond shadow hasn't done our appreciation of his acting much good, but he is actually a very interesting actor. I remember him in Matador a couple of years ago, and he's the best thing in this. One of the things that happens in the film is that it lurches in tone wildly. I mean, it opens with a sort of a subway killing, which seems to be like from a different movie. Then the whole story about him having to date her in order to get back at the cop seems to be something from a kind of frat boy comedy, which it isn't. And Robert Pattinson is doing that kind of, I'm dissolute, I'm rebellious, I'm awkward, but yet somehow all I want is to be loved by my mother and father. And we are told all the way through the movie what date it is. The date is important. Here's the date. Look at the date. Look at the date. Look at the date. Which then, I have to say, I didn't see it coming because I'm thick, leads up to a completely unwarranted date-related denouement, which made me go, oh, come on. And so the message of the movie, I'm not going to give it away because I don't want to give away the plot spoiler, but I'm not going to say. But frankly, anybody else other than me would take one look at the opening date and go, okay, I know where we're going. Message of the film is, it doesn't matter what you do, but it matters that you do it. But it's not without moments of charm, and he's a perfectly decent actor, and there are things in it that are okay.